What up, squad? What up, goons? And motherfucking goonettes. Get in here. Get in here. We back. Ooh. Hey, I had to pop on tonight because we got breaking news. Breaking motherfucking news. You hear me? Ah. Diddy has been taken into custody. Could he be facing life? What y'all think? Could Diddy be facing life? This is breaking news. This just happened. This just happened today. Um, Diddy was taken into custody. Diddy was taken into custody today in Manhattan, New York. I'm guessing he turned himself in to the feds, not the state. He turned himself into the feds. Um, it was released. Breaking news. Showing Diddy Combs arrested in New York. His attorney was talking to CNN and told them exactly what the situation is and what's going on. And what's up, Rabbit? And here's what the lawyer said. So it says, embattled musician and producer Sean Diddy Combs, aka P Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, aka the Diddler, aka No Diddy. You hear me? Has been arrested. The mogul's attorney tells CNN. According to a source, Combs was arrested in Manhattan in a man. I'm sorry. According to a source, Combs was arrested in Manhattan hotel on Monday night and is currently being processed. The charges are unclear at this time, so we don't know what he's charged with right now. But I think the indictment should be unsealed in the morning, today's time in the morning. If it's after 12 o'clock, I don't know where you at in the world, but it's saying that the indictment charges against Diddy should be um should be unsealed in the morning, so we'll know more about it. We're definitely about to get into it. We're gonna tap into my man Academic, because he's on a live stream right now, and we're gonna tap into his situation and talk more about the whole situation about Diddy being arrested in New York. Also, it says, we are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe. We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Combs' attorney said that the musician has been cooperating with the investigation and relocated to New York last week in anticipation of being charged. His team maintains his innocence and says he has nothing to hide. Diddy, your ass going to jail. You going to jail, bro. I don't think you're going to get life, but you going to jail. And they're going to try to cook you. Ooh, they're going to try to cook you so bad. It's going to get crucial, bro. Mm-mm-mm. I'm pretty sure it had to do with Biggie and Tupac and most definitely Cassie and all those other charges against us behind. I I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it got something to do with Diddy, with Cassie, with you know Biggie, with I'm pretty sure human trafficking, the drugs, I'm pretty sure listen. If the feds come for you, that means they have 100% a case against you. The feds is not coming if they ain't got their cards together. I promise you they not. They not coming if they not situated. They not coming. I promise you. The feds ain't coming to say hi. The feds coming to put these silver bracelets on your ass and give you a deal and get their time up out you. That's it. That's how it's gonna go. Straight like that. Straight like that. They ain't trying to hit nothing else. Why do you think their conviction rate is what it is? The feds work off deals. It's going down. Everybody's going to be opening up cases on Diddy. It, everybody. People going to be coming out of the woodwork. Men, women, people going to be coming out of the woodwork. Right now, and I'm focused on what's put in front of us. That's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on what is put in front of us right now. Cassie, the drugs, the human trafficking charges, it's that type of stuff. I ain't worrying about people that waited 30 years or 15 or 10 or 5 years when that money dried up to come out now and say this X, Y, and Z. I'm not worrying about none of that right now. We're going to talk about what's in front of us, right? What we know for sure. We seen the videos of Diddy it's punching all on Cassie, treating her like a soccer ball. We seen that. Uh-huh. We seen where they raided his jet at the Clearport, and they found the pink cocaine, the Tusi. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We know about the sexcapades and all the, you know what I'm saying? The freaky time, Mr. Freaky Man. We know about all that. So, like I was saying, we're gonna get into the I'm gonna tap into my man Academic. Yeah, I'm gonna tap into my man Academic. Oh, not now, Act. Shut up. I'm gonna tap and shout out to my man Academics. I'm gonna tap into his channel right now and see what he got to say. I mean, it may not. It's at the end of the day, it's up to the feds. Whatever they feel as though is is good for their case, then they're gonna accept it. Cause it's not no state stuff. This federal. This ain't got nothing to do with no state nothing. You know what I'm saying? Diddy is not facing state charges. It's all federal. You know what I'm saying? So if the feds feel like it's good for their case, they might. They might. But yeah, we're gonna tap into Academic live stream right now. And I'm trying to get the laptop situated real quick. Hold on. We're gonna tap into Academic live stream because he's live streaming about it right now. And we just gonna be, we're gonna talk and chime in. Yo, what's up? Everybody in the heavens up high. Come down, come back down to earth. Yo, y'all missed my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Me? Happy birthday to me. You know what I'm saying? 37, gang. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was 36. It's crazy. I thought I was 36. That's a bad joint when you lose track of your age. When you lose track of your age, it's crazy work. You know what I'm saying? You want to support the channel? Cash App your boy $OZ1700. Don't forget to like the live, double tap the screen. Why is people on here and they ain't even double tap their screen and like the live? That's wild. That is nasty work. Double tap the screen, like the live, show your boy some love. It's a late night live. I'm up late. We're about to be on this, popping out onto this situation, talking about this Diddy situation and all that. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment. Say what's up. Interact with your boy. Talk to me. I talk back. It's all love over here. It's all love over here. Keep it cute though. Alright? Don't be disrespectful. And you won't get disrespected. Ganging this, you hear me? Alright. Let me flip this camera real quick and see what this thing looking like. Bop. Damn, why my screen look crazy?
Hey, big act. What's cracking with y'all? What's cracking? What's cracking? What's cracking? Hop up in here. Everybody's online. No intro today. Live breaking news. Breaking news. Breaking news. Breaking news. Ooh, what's that? I don't know what that is. Breaking news, niggas.
Ooh, that's loud as hell.
Breaking news. Holy. They don't got the diddler. God damn it. They took the diddler
They
in
got
custody.
the diddler. God damn it.
Wow. Big Ack is here. We're locked in for the rest of the night.
Let's go, Ack.
I'm hearing, if this is what I believe it is, I believe that the indictment should be unsealed in the morning. Matter of fact, by the way, all this is happening right now. I've been on the phone with a lot of people. This is very big breaking news right here. Number one, let me see, log in. Here we go. How y'all doing? Welcome everybody. Welcome. Unfortunately, we are here under very. Give me 1 second. Has been taken into custody. Now, what custody seemingly means is that. What's this? That's not it. What custody seemingly means is that he has been arrested on a federal indictment. Now, this is going to be very important. Also, to clarify, and by the way, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of things tonight, so chat, you guys are going to want to stay tuned. Could y'all hear me? Mic check. I just want to make sure we're good. In NEWYORK, and supposedly he's going to sell the property at the Homely Hills property in LA. But it appears that Sean Diddy Combs, we all saw him go to New York. I told y'all, something about this told me that he was getting prepared, right? I told you that I expected the indictment to come.
The speakers too loud, Joe? Y'all need me to turn them down?
Indictment or lack thereof to happen before the end of this month, and I only told you that about 4 or 5 days ago. And from what I've learned about the feds, they might take you into custody on the weekend, but you only find out on Monday. Okay, obviously we're hearing that it happened, but regardless, maybe and possibly we will hear a possible arraignment tomorrow. But a lot of things to discuss. Okay, a lot of things to discuss. Now, truth be told, and what we should be very aware of, and we're going to read some of these details. We're getting exclusively via TMZ, and they have actual sources, I noticed as a fact, with HSI and also with the Southern New York District. They work a lot there, getting tips, leads, this and third. So when they say something, it's official. There's two things to consider. First and foremost, if Diddy's taken into custody, that word custody is very loose. Mm-hmm. You could be taken into custody but not being arrested necessarily for these said crimes.
Right.
Now, it's more likely that he's arrested and he's going to be charged officially for these crimes, which means the grand jury is over with, because, as I've said before, Diddy, not only because he came back to New York, looked like he was tying up loose ends elsewhere, and he came to New York voluntarily. This also tells me that I believe, again, I'm telling you, the rumors are Diddy's paying in between $2 to $3 million per month on lawyers.
Facts.
It's a full court press, not only on a criminal level, but civilly as well. He's
Mm-hmm.
handling every and anything because he does realize that some of these civil cases turned into something that became a federal, investigation. So his lawyers are working around the clock. When he came to New York, it told me that we're not talking about a public defender. We're not talking about some run of the mill lawyer. We're not talking about some low level. We're talking about the best of the best. Diddy got the most money. Well, he has enough money to pay for any lawyer he needs.
Right.
And those lawyers, the difference between $2 to $3 million a month,
Right.
and you pay your lawyer maybe $2,000 a month, is the fact that they're going to be talking to the U.S. attorney directly.
Facts.
Okay.
That's
Not
that.
trying
That's that.
to
That's that big money.
the case. They can't call no favors like, nah, don't indict him. But what they could call in is some transparency on usually a process that's non-transparent, right? The grand jury process is non-transparent usually for a defendant. I told you guys before it was possible that maybe Diddy was here to testify, which is usually unusual in a grand jury indictment proceeding. However, the reason why I thought he might have been involved is that his lawyers have been cooperative. Okay? Even though Diddy's the subject of this investigation, your lawyers still got to cooperate, right? So,
Yep.
hey, again, maybe if they got some safes, yo, hey, we'll just unlock them for you. Hey, oh, you said you guys can't find what? We'll help you out. Now, again,
Yep.
this also is usually a sign of good faith, especially if you believe you're innocent, right? Hey, listen, we'll help you figure out and investigate because we know you're going to come to the conclusion we ain't do nothing, right?
Yeah, but innocent
So,
on what?
again,
Like,
even if Diddy's guilty,
bro, you innocent on what, bro? What are you innocent on? We seen a video of you treating Cassie as if she was a soccer ball. Forget. Listen, f not f them people, but let's put aside the stuff that the other people that's Jane Does and John Does, right? That's and I call them Jane Does and John Does because when you make a civil lawsuit against someone and it's shown up publicly, your name is not shown. They call you Jane Doe and John Doe, so it protects your name. So that's why I'm calling them that. So forget all the Jane Does and John Does right now, right? That's made cases against Diddy, saying he did this to them or made them do this, etc., etc. Again, these are grown people. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what type of party y'all was signing up for. You feel me? And some of the women probably had got some money, and that money done dried up, and they didn't mess that money up, and now they broke, and now they on Diddy top. Okay, now let's focus on the facts. We seen Diddy beat the crap out of Cassie on video. Even though the video was old, it don't matter. It still happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure it happened multiple times after that. It just wasn't caught on video. You feel me? Um, Number two, Cassie is going to be the star witness in this whole case. Mark my words. I promise you. When she pop out on, I promise you. I feel like Cassie's going to be the star witness in this whole case. She's going to be on the stand, saying things, talking about things, bringing a lot of stuff to light. You know what I'm saying? Now you talk about the drugs that they found, the Tusi, the cocaine, the marijuana, the pills, the et cetera, all this stuff, right? Bam. Then you can go ahead and go on with the human trafficking. You know what I'm saying? With like, come on. These are the things that we know. For sure. We know these things.
if you got the best lawyers are going to talk to the U.S. attorney, right? The people who are presenting this to the grand jury. So I thought when he came to New York, maybe he would testify. It's very rare, but You got the best lawyers in the world that are probably friends with these guys. Maybe they could say, hey, could we have the grand jury consider Diddy's side of things? He's down to testify. You guys could, ask him certain questions unless he has to plead the fifth. And that was unlikely. And by the way, I'm still not sure if that happened. Regardless, if that didn't happen, and it tells me that Diddy coming to New York is probably abundantly clear and was sent a notice to his lawyers that, hey, you know, brother, we're probably going to come to a decision soon within the next week or so. I've talked to a few people who said, damn, why Diddy ain't run? There ain't no running here, right?
Diddy ain't doing no
The
running.
reason why there ain't no running, yes, his passport isn't taken, but for you to leave legally the United States on any flight, private or commercial,
You got to go
there's
through the
something called
government.
manifest. You have to register with the FAA, with
Facts.
the location, your origin.
You ain't going nowhere.
To the destination. And if they ever saw that Diddy was going to any place that could protect him from, extradition, Bali, or something like that, you don't need to wait on the grand jury to arrest him. Okay? It becomes a different process, but they could arrest him immediately. So I'm pretty sure it was like a handshake type of situation to say, we ain't gonna lock you up while we go through this process because we want to make sure we make the right decision and pretty much ensuring that there's no, police taint in this process, no detective, no elected official that's swaying this process. A grand jury is going to be a peer of Diddy. Like, it's going to be, people who are constituents of that particular district, which is the Southern District of New York. So, that is the preferred way to indict, especially for people who think that, for example, if you indict Diddy and Diddy beats the case, you're done.
Right.
If you do it, a DA could do it through, obviously what's called a complaint. If you indict Diddy through a complaint, which then goes to a judge,
Yep.
they're going to arrest him, but they're going to go to a judge for what's called a preliminary hearing. I showed you that that's what happened with ASAP Rocky. Let's say even if that goes through, the preliminary hearing and they do indict him,
Still got.
if Diddy beats that case, which you got to imagine, if Diddy's facing life, I don't care what charges we're going to see, he's going to be facing life, right? If Diddy beats and spanks that case, that DA is finished, right?
Yep,
Like,
done.
You're
done.
overzealous DA trying to make a name by indicting a black man.
Yep.
Diddy could spin this all type of ways. If he gets indicted by a DA or a DA's office, that was just overzealous. And, he could even flip the narrative. You listen to a bunch of civil lawsuits which don't really account for the fact, and they're only complaints, at least the initial stages. So they wanted to cross their T's, dot their I's. The DA is not making a decision. The DA is offering up evidence that they've found through search warrants, interrogations, snitches, anything else, witnesses, victims, that they would have the grand jury to basically say, do we have probable cause to indict? And what happens at a point is that, remember I said when they start serving those subpoena, I said, oh, we're getting close. Because it feels like it was at the last part of validation, or not validation, but just checking a few things. And even then I thought it was for maybe additional charges. I think that they went through the brunt of the evidence already, and they were finalizing this whole thing. So they had to do a vote, right? Now, that vote would most likely have been done, I would think, last week. Again, I don't know exactly how, every grand jury proceeding works, but maybe it was done last week, maybe Friday. Could have been done today, right? The reason I would say Friday, if a grand jury has been held for months, because from we heard grand jury has been months now. So these people have been listening to this fucking probable cause case for months. I would imagine if they were going to vote, they would probably vote on the Friday, because why come back on the Monday to vote? So today's Monday, right? So they probably voted then, and then what happens is there's the next step is a presentment, right? Now the presentment is where the grand jury after their vote, presented to the court what their findings are. Now, again, the difference between a grand jury and a jury in your criminal case, right? Your trial jury is that your trial jury has to go 12. If it's 12 jurors, 12-0.
Yep.
Everyone has to agree that he's
Yep.
guilty.
You don't need that with a
In
federal.
a grand jury hearing, usually they have 23 people,
Yeah.
and they look for at least or yeah, 23 people, and they look for like 12.
Yeah.
Right. So
You
if
need
12
half of that.
people, so it'd be 12 that say yes, and maybe 11 said no, they indict. Right. So they're looking for majority. Majority rules at that.
Yeah,
point,
exactly.
Okay. Remember, this is not to convict you; it's only to indict. Indicting someone means that there's probable cause that these charges should be listened to in a full court hearing, right? If you don't, so after they vote, clearly it seems like they would have gotten a positive vote. We don't know what that number is. Sometimes, and I don't think that usually they don't bar the people who are on grand juries from actually speaking out about the proceeding. But you never know. The judge might to say, hey, we don't want to taint this case. Don't say nothing about it. Or they might say you can't say anything about it until
Right, because they dealing with somebody so powerful. They might.
People, we're probably gonna hear some leaks on what that process was like and what the vote was like. Like, was it close? Was it 24 or 23? Was it 12-11? Who knows? Regardless, they do a presentment, and that's when they, the presentment is an official bill, which what they call if there is no indictment, it's called a no bill. So they basically fill out a paper. They say it's a no bill indictment, which means we don't find probable cause.
Yeah, we're not gonna pursue it.
Brought up on charges on the no bill. We're given a no bill, which means Diddy will be scot free. Usually in cases where grand juries choose not to indict and
Internet
they present
started acting dumb.
no bill, unless there's some drastic change or some nigga just like fucking confesses, the case is pretty much dead, right? Like, you know what I mean? You're not gonna bring another, usually detectives did the best job they could to fucking find all the evidence to bring to the grand jury. If the grand jury can't indict, usually dead, right? Now, it doesn't mean you're indemnified. So if if you come back later, the difference between that and going to trial, say OJ Simpson came out, right? And OJ Simpson said, you know what? I did kill that bitch. He went through the trial of him being, charged criminally with murder, and he beat it. So even if he admits it, can't go back. That's called double jeopardy.
Right, can't do double jeopardy.
With the grand jury,
yeah,
the case is usually just dead because there's no reason to ever bring it back to a grand jury if the evidence isn't there. But if that person comes out and says, "Oh yeah, I did do that shit,"
they come back and indict.
You're not gonna get indicted.
Yep.
That's just how it works. That rarely ever happens unless somebody's a fucking idiot. If they did the crime, whatever. But that wouldn't appear to be the situation here. This situation looks like they've voted and they've agreed with
to indict.
The U.S. Attorney Office, basically saying, hey, there are probable cause. Now, we don't know if they're indicting on every count or every particular charge. We will see how many counts, what charges. What we do and should probably note about this whole situation is that if you listen to any lawyer, historically, a grand jury, they have a saying to say a grand jury could indict a ham sandwich, which means it doesn't take much to convince them because they only need probable cause, right? If you can make a good argument that seems to be the thing that happened.
Right. Basically, if it sound good and it look good, they gonna indict. You ain't gotta sit there and give them a song and a dance, swing from a tree like George of the Jungle. You ain't gotta put your hand in a lion's mouth. You ain't gotta do none of that to a grand jury at all. If you walk in there and it sound good and it look good, We got a case. They gonna pursue it. It's that easy in the federal courtrooms.
which every most prosecutor could do the bare minimum. Like think about Young Thug. Like again, I think that did go through. I think that did go through grand jury indictment. I believe actually the first time there was three people charged with nuts murder. The first time they got grand jury indicted and they got found innocent. They got found innocent. They got found. No, actually, no. The case got dropped because they realized even after it got indicted, the case got dropped because they realized they had the wrong people.
Right.
But the grand jury looked at it and said, well, it kind of makes sense.
Exactly.
So we're going to indict them. But then as the case developed and other things kind of came out, the prosecutors realized this case was not going to go anywhere. So they dropped it, right? So again, a grand jury indictment, it's all about probable cause.
That's it. That's it.
They could also indict you for literally anything.
Mm-hmm.
The thing in Diddy's situation, and this is why I said this on Vlad, right? I did an interview on Vlad. Well, actually, I don't know if that came out yet. I definitely predicted that Diddy would be indicted. I think many people did, because here's the thing: it's one thing to indict someone on very specific crimes.
Right.
Yo, did you shoot that person
multiple,
at that time
multiple
on
crimes?
that street? Right now, if you have an alibi, well, at that time I was fucking my bitch in another state. Well, that kind of blows up the probable cause. Yeah, that's an alibi. You're not gonna indict, right? Like again, this is if you're innocent, right? Like obviously if you were chilling on the street, had a gun in your waist, like you may get indicted because motherfucker, like there's probable cause that you fit the description, had a gun, was on the same street that somebody got shot at the same time. Here's what I'm trying to say. They hit Diddy not with specific charge, and we're gonna see specific allegations and charges. That's what I think, right? I'm guesstimating here. I do think that the indictment will be on seal tomorrow in the morning or maybe Wednesday. However, the reason why I always say when you get hit with a few charges, not only is it easy to indict, it's just hard to beat. Period.
Yeah, hell yeah.
RICO.
Racketeering charges. You fighting
historically
you fighting different.
hard to
You fighting a bunch of
because
charges at one time.
particular crime of being an organized.
Because even if you beat one of the charges, you still got another 9 to worry about.
Might be hard
like,
to prove.
Hey,
and I'm going. This is some state shit now, even though the feds have higher standards. Say for example, you know why Young Thug wasn't charged? Well, you got to prove that Young Thug, even though he rented the car that fit the description that did the drive-by, was Young Thug in the car? Did he get somebody else the car? Like, you can't just... Did he know about someone else driving? Like, you can't just indict or just, like, bring somebody to trial for one thing because you kind of have a hunch, unless you have somebody who was in the car who did it, who may have, had some type of text message to Thug to say, Thug told me to do it. He gave me the gun here. Actually, he told him my ring camera. I drove his car. That's called, Thug gets arrested. The easier way to get Thug to go down is you just file a RICO. So you put that allegation.
That's it.
Right? Which is kind of patchy without all those, details. With 5 other allegations. And it basically, you overwhelm the jury. Like I kind of have a mixed feeling about RICO cases because it's all about overwhelming the jury. Like, I know a lot of people like, nah, man, why is that? What do you got Young Thug off? Why do you think that? Like, they're presenting shit after shit after shit. Yeah, that might have been one of the main murders that he was supposed to be the main witness for, but they're presenting like 20 other different crimes. The point of a RICO is not to prove one crime, it's to prove that you guys had a operation
organization
that historically did multiple crimes, right? And also, by the way, obviously the feds specifically love it, but law enforcement loves this type of way of charging people because they, historically when the top guy would never touch the drugs or the gun to kill somebody or touch the money, so he would always look clean. He would have somebody else tell somebody else to tell somebody else to do it. How do you catch the guy who's making all the plays and financing and doing all the shit? You catch him with the RICO. So, it's popular for that reason. We see all our favorite, again, this is coming out of the Southern District, and I'm going to read this in a second. This is coming out of the Southern District of New York. Now, the Southern District of New York, I've told you, this is the, see? Okay, now TMZ just updated us. A law enforcement source confirms the arrest was scheduled for Tuesday, but something happened that caused the feds to move in a day
Yeah,
early.
the jury
Now,
went into
what this
litigation.
means is that they were watching him. Maybe, most likely, not even most likely, 5,000,000%. Diddy's phone is tapped. His associates' phones are
Yep,
tapped,
said something
and
or did
they were
something they ain't
sitting
like.
on it, and they were gonna arrest him. Like I'll give you the story on the 6ix9ine situation. I remember when 6ix9ine, I remember 6ix9ine was saw me or wanted to see me that Saturday. They were gonna arrest him. I think like 4 or 5 days later. Then they hear him on the phone. Also, they had trucks. Like I guess he realized after a while, they had trucks all lined up, like white trucks all lined up outside his building, pretty much just surveillance shit, right? Like this is why people be like, oh, Diddy should run to another country.
You
You think
think
the
they
feds are
not
just like
watching
over here
him?
watching him on
Right.
Instagram, walking around Harlem, or the feds is like literally there? Like my nigga, they've spent so much money on this shit, they can't have this anyway. With 6ix9ine, he when he was on the phone saying, "Oh yeah, I'm about to go to this casino," somehow Shotty and them found out, and they said, and that's when the Jim Jones thing coming. They'd be like, "Yo, y'all gotta go make an example out of him." They realize he's gonna be the main guy who we could possibly flip. We can't do with a dead snitch. By the way, 6ix9ine didn't snitch yet, but they knew he probably would. So they arrested him early. So they said, "Hell nah, nigga, we ain't gonna have you get shot." Okay. So I'm pretty sure Diddy might have planned to. I don't know. Maybe there was something on the itinerary. Maybe somebody was coming in town that they feel could like it have aided him to either do some shit to jeopardize their case. So they arrested him today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the arrest was meant for tomorrow, it probably means that the U.S. attorney was probably ready to unseal this case on Wednesday. So I'm still thinking Wednesday. So I think they're going to take him into custody. I would expect that whatever interrogation they would have wanted to do to Diddy, they would have probably ran it by his lawyers already. So they're not waiting until like broke niggas, if they collar you, they're gonna be like, let me take it to the station and ask you some question. They probably already asked Diddy like, hey, you and your lawyers want to come in? We do want to have some. We got a question for you, or maybe they even offered a proffer, right? So I'm pretty sure they're just gonna keep Diddy in custody, and him being in custody, again, what we don't know yet or realize is that most likely, most likely,
Yeah, they gonna put Diddy ass right in PC in segregation somewhere. They is not gonna allow Diddy to be around other inmates and general population. I don't care if he do sign the paperwork saying he want to go to GP. It ain't happening because if something happens to Diddy while he's in federal custody, that's they ass.
Diddy is not the only person charged.
Nope.
The thing with RICO cases,
You know
and we do
what?
believe he's getting.
You know do, do y'all think they gonna charge Young Miami? You know what? You know what'd be a crazy plot twist? Well, no, they can't do it. But I'm just saying. What if they tried to charge Chassie because she was dealing with the human trafficking stuff also? Yes, she did. What are you talking about? Yes, she did. They said they said that Young Miami was coming through the airport with drugs and for Diddy for the parties and stuff. She was, you know what I'm saying? That's what they was trying to say about her. Yeah. You gotta go read up on it.
He's getting hit with a few things, and let me backtrack again too. So racketeering case is hard to beat, easy to indict, especially if they have multiple isolated
I don't know
areas of
though.
criminal
I don't know. We
activity, which
gotta
they
see.
obviously do with Diddy. So We think they're gonna hit him with a racketeering, a RICO statute, and under RICO, you could put multiple things. So
Yes,
like
you
the
can.
RICO is the big thing. So like you're a criminal organization. Now, what criminal organization acts did you habitually participate?
Yeah, and
Sex
habitual
trafficking is gonna
means,
fall underneath that, right?
and when he says habitual, that means
Especially Southern District, they always throw drugs in it. Like for example, and I'm gonna use this now as an example. It's the same people who charge 6ix9ine. When they charge back on Low Street back in the day, what the fuck does 6ix9ine sell drugs? It's not even a matter of him selling drugs. It makes
the
the
internet
charges
was
look
messing up,
more
so
appealing, right?
it
Also, when
messed
you're
with the
trying to
live a little bit, but I'm
map
gonna
out an
take it back.
organ or like system and how like the U.S. attorney usually get down, especially Southern District, they always throw drugs in it. Like for example, and I'm gonna use 6ix9ine a lot as an example. It's the same people who charge 6ix9ine. When they charge 6ix9ine, they put that he was selling drugs back on Locust Street back in the day. What the fuck does 6ix9ine sell drugs? It's not even a matter of him selling drugs. It makes the charges look more appealing, right?
Right.
Also, when if you're trying to map out an organization, you want to show that they're making money in illicit ways.
Mm-hmm.
They're blatantly just breaking the law by either doing violence, extreme violence, or just doing some really deviant behavior like sex trafficking. So I think we're gonna see some drugs, and I
Some
think we're gonna
sex
see
trafficking.
something in terms of violence. Okay. Now the big thing, obviously, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here with a lot of things. Um, they, they're probably, if they could tie him to Tupac,
Uh
they're gonna
huh.
do, right? If they could tie him to the 99 club shooting in New York, they're going to.
Yep.
Right? By the way, all of these things have no statutes of limitation. Murder,
Murder,
attempted
yeah,
murder,
murder don't have an
these all
statute.
are going to be, par for the course. Now, the drugs,
Diddy prison party
that
ain't gonna
does
be
have
happening.
statute
He
of
gonna be
limitation.
in
I don't know what it is
segregation.
off the top of my head. Statute of limitations, drugs, federal. Yeah, federal drug crime. I think it's drug crimes. Usually it's around 5 years. Now, granted, the way how they write these because also the way how they write these two is that
That
they
depends
could
on
give
the
you 20
drug.
years ago,
Right.
as long as you kept doing it as long as it was continual and it kept going until 5 years ago. So that's also like a loophole. So they could charge you for selling drugs in the 1930s as long as you kept selling drugs until 2019. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying?
Facts.
Now, if you're 5 years out and you haven't done none of that shit, you're clear, right? But they could bring it all the way back up as long as you kept doing it. So again, they're gonna try most likely. Obviously they had arrested that guy who everybody called a drug mule, right? Remember this guy? Like we haven't heard
Yeah,
nothing
the
from him
little white
since.
boy.
Drug mule Diddy,
Yeah, the white boy.
right? Which I think we all probably feel like they probably flipped, right? This
Uh,
guy.
uh, uh, uh,
I firmly believe if he goes in there and says yes, Diddy had me transporting. Um, by the way, he did do a plea as well too. He did do a plea. He did do a plea. But if he goes in there and says, "Yo, you know, Diddy used to have me bring, drugs in my booty hole across all the
uh.
fucking country." You know what I mean? Like I used to put the crack in my brack or whatever the fuck. I don't know the fuck. You know what I mean?
Put it in his
If he
prison
does
wallet.
that, and I was doing it up till this point, this is 2024. Those are drug charges that will probably go underneath it. If you ask me, and by the way, I think I've been pretty accurate with the predictions. Sex trafficking, we're gonna see 100%, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna see something with drugs and something with violence. Now, we might see also some other things like extortion, blackmail. We like, however they're gonna follow those, but we're almost anticipating it's gonna be something to that extent.
This
Yeah.
case gonna get wild. I can't, man. I'm gonna be covering this case every day.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So pretty much, I've told you like the worst Anytime you see somebody get charged with these crimes, they're fucked. You gotta just take a plea, just do a couple years, and hopefully a couple years and get out. Sex trafficking, right? That's like a catch-all shit. Like, nigga, were you pimping this bitch? Like, yes, you got him. Because it's kind of weird how it's set up. It says if you've moved a individual across state lines for the purpose of
That's sex
commercial
trafficking, right?
sex
That's sex
acts
trafficking.
that interfered with interstate commerce, which is like a really hazy way of saying if you fuck bitches and you got money,
Yeah, so that's like if you live in Philly and you go pick up a chick in Jersey that's selling her poom poom, and y'all get caught on a comeback, that's sex trafficking.
you could be sex trafficking depending how we want to see it, motherfucker. You
Mm-hmm.
get what I'm saying? At least for a charge. You know, obviously you got to really prove it, right? Obviously we've heard the stories about Diddy, so we're not gonna be like, oh my god, no, how are you gonna prove it? Like, I mean, pretty much what Cassie's described as sex trafficking. Pretty much when we're hearing that, oh, freak offs, the freak off sounds like sex trafficking. Just to be honest, that's kind of the damn near definition of what sex trafficking would be legally, almost, defined as. Other than that, so you never want to get a sex trafficking charge because it's just so hard to beat. And I'm talking just as, obviously I'm the ghetto lawyer because I'm not an official lawyer by the way, clearly. Sex trafficking charge is hard to beat. RICO, obviously RICO could have sex trafficking underneath, but anything RICO, they usually do that with gangs more.
Uh-huh.
Usually do that with violence or murders, but like still, RICO just hard to beat. Wire fraud. This is for all the scammers in the world, right? They can't catch you because you think you finesse Chase. Well, some way, somehow, you had to work through a bank. You're going to jail, right? Like, that's how they catch most of the people who, maybe they haven't been violent, but they think they're doing white collar crime. They even capture a lot of these guys even on Wall Street. A lot of white collar crime. You'll see the wire fraud. What else? I'm trying to think. What else? What else?
Diddy.
What else?
What you talking about? Diddy was worse.
There's a few other ones. RICO, sex trafficking, wire fraud. Okay.
What type of question is that? Is Diddy or Bill Cosby worse? All Bill Cosby dude did was do what they was doing back in the day. Gave them bitches some pills and that's it. All them back in his day was taking Adderalls and all these crazy pills and drinking liquor and going to go home and screw. He just happened to be somebody, and they said, "Ooh, I got to come up." Diddy was, I can't. What? Bill didn't even do nothing. Bill ain't kill nobody or beat nobody up or none of that. You was better off saying OJ or Diddy.
I'll think of it later. Anyway, these pictures look like. Oh, these are old. Yeah, these are old. So this is from
Yeah, that's
March
from the
25th,
house.
2024. This is when the feds appeared on the scene. It said he was taken into custody. We're gonna have to learn more about this. Was he taken into custody by them showing up unannounced, or again,
I think he
we
went
have
there.
to believe because we know Diddy's gonna have to go through this case, go through this trial. He's well aware of it, right? I'm not defending chat for anybody who thinking. I'm
Yeah,
just
Bill
like
Cosby
the guy
wasn't the
got
worst.
even if
Diddy
he's
was.
guilty, he's not dumb, right? Like you're
Bill
not gonna be
ain't
like
beat
he's
nobody
not
up
like
or
oh
none
my
of
god I'm
that.
running away. You can't. In a lot of these situations, they might have turned him over. They might have just got a call, yo, yeah, we're gonna do it tomorrow, but bring that nigga in or bring that nigga downstairs. Who knows? He might be at a penthouse somewhere. You know what I'm saying? They're not like fucking. You know what I mean? In some people's situation, they would be fucking kicking through the windows. But now that clearly Diddy knows that he was on an investigation, I'm pretty sure it was a very formal type of situation. Yo, we have a warrant for your client's arrest, and I'm pretty sure it was peaceful, right? I'm pretty sure it was peaceful. Apparently, okay, he swooped into a. Oh, okay, so Diddy was just arrested and taken into federal custody in New York Monday night. TMZ has learned. Sources tell TMZ that Homeland Security swooped into a Midtown hotel late Monday. Now, you know what's funny? Homeland Security is like HSI works with FBI
Secret
and
Service.
local authorities, and then they also deputize a lot of like NYPD officers. You know, they do a lot in the Southern District of New York, and it's funny because when you think of Homeland Security, you're like, God damn it, how much fucking is Diddy doing that? When you hear Homeland Security, you're like, God damn, that nigga's dick must be something. Yo, it must be what do you used to call it? A weapon of mass destruction. If Homeland Security is no, Homeland Security is just. I mean, obviously they do investigate up to that. But I'm gonna see if I can get Myron on here, bro. Like he used to work for HSI, um, which is Homeland Security, and they do a lot. Like they do a lot of gang bust. They do a lot of shit like this. They're not necessarily only trying to prevent terrorists from knocking down buildings, right? But anyway, Homeland Security swooped into a Midtown hotel late Monday, where Diddy was staying, and they arrested him. We have unconfirmed reports. The feds are searching his hotel room. Okay, yeah. So basically, they with an arrest warrant and a search warrant again. We're told Diddy was taken into the
They had a
FBI
body
field
warrant
office in
and a house
Manhattan.
warrant. It's
It
crazy.
appears that the action was taken in connection with the ongoing criminal investigation into alleged
Yeah, they've
sex
been
trafficking
building a
and
case on
other
him forever.
led to search warrants being issued after
Yeah, I mean, but
issued
Homeland.
and
See,
executed at Diddy's homes in Beverly Hills.
a lot of people hear Homeland Security, they just think they work at the airport. No. Homeland Security is a government task force. Like, they deal with Secret Service, they deal with FBI, they deal with DEA, they deal with HSI. Like, they deal, yo. Homeland Security is, yeah. And they'll get right with you, too. They got just as much authority and jurisdiction as the feds. Homeland Security ain't no joke.
Was it in Miami? As we reported, a grand jury has been hearing testimony from various accusers over the last few months. Anything you want to add? Okay, Diddy's attorney did speak. Let me see. Is there anything else? Okay. Ooh, here we go. Another update. Remember, there was supposed to lock him up tomorrow, but here my boy Myron, just on time, my boy.
Yeah, I'll jump on your stream in a little bit to talk about it.
Okay, yeah. I'm in Discord, so just hit me anytime.
Let me know.
Yeah, you don't remember Discord? Well, I see you on Discord. I can call you. So I don't know if you're on the same computer. Are you? Okay. Okay, perfect.
But yeah, give me a few minutes and I'll jump on it. We can talk.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Okay, perfect.
That don't matter.
All right, bro. Bye.
All right. Again,
But I kind
Myron
of
Gaines,
figured
you
he
guys
was
don't
gonna
know,
make Bond anyway.
co-host of the Fresh and Fit podcast, but he was a former federal agent. Did tons of arrests. He worked for HSI around the border area, but he's very familiar with how these investigations are done, complaints are done, how they work in lieu with the U.S. attorney, and basically pretty much how these situations get handled when they have to take someone into custody.
Yeah, hold on, let me see.
I think he's taken a few. I don't know if it's like celebrities, but
Well, I don't think they gave him a bell. You ain't gonna get a bell that
we'll
quick.
get like some insight
Not
from
with the
from
feds.
him
That
and
ain't
them.
happening.
Anyway, here we go. It says so. His arrest was scheduled for Tuesday, but something happened that caused the feds to move in. Oh, let me take my phone. Oh, it's got to show. All right. So so it was scheduled for Tuesday, but something happened, so they had to move it a day earlier. However, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, and this is probably interesting, right? Says federal agents took him in based on a sealed indictment filed by the Southern District of New York. I searched the indictments before I got on here. that were all filed in Southern District of New York. And from what I could see, there is no indictment there, which is in line with exactly what that U.S. attorney said. That is sealed. So again, we're not hearing when he'll be brought into court. I would imagine that his lawyers wouldn't want him to be. I don't know where they would hold him.
Yeah,
You know, I
Diddy
don't know
is
where the
locked up.
federal holding facility is. Even though I've heard that it's, supposedly they'll lock up. I believe when
He
Casanova was
ain't
first
getting no
locked up,
bail that damn
they went
fast.
through the New York
Feds don't
intake
process
system,
you
which is
that
like they
fast.
went down to the tombs. Like that's like a popular, um, jail for people in the New York City area. I think 6ix9ine did it as well. No, even though no, he didn't because actually he did until he started cooperating and they got him through the rat hole. You feel me? Shout out to my boy. But yeah, so I would imagine that
Yeah, I
Diddy's
know.
attorneys don't want him just fucking sitting in jail,
I
right? They
just looked
want
it
to
up
get
on my phone.
as quickly as possible to court to initiate what probably is going to have to be a bonding situation. Also, for anybody who was saying he was like, why don't he leave? If you know you're going to get indicted, he's not going to live in Bali, okay? Again, trust me. I don't care if they got to go kidnap his ass from Bali. They would have kidnapped his ass from Bali. He's not getting away, right? You don't want to act like you're running. You don't want to act like you're planning to run. So, if anything, you want to give the government the least amount of reason that whenever you get arraigned and you make a bond application, right? Uh, when it's considered, they're not looking
I
at
don't
you as a
think so.
flight risk. They want to be able to say, hey, Mr. Sean
I don't think
Puffy
so.
Combs knew that he was a subject of a investigation by the Southern District of New York for this amount of months. Ever since then, he's been communicating with the government and federal authorities about his whereabouts anytime he was boarding a plane, where he was going, because he looks forward to the day that he's going to be able to face these charges in court and clear his name, right? Like, that's gonna be like, all right, bond, I don't know, who knows, $5 million, right? Like, cool. Get that nigga ankle monitor and send him to the freak off penthouse back. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's better than them saying, all right, this nigga was loading up a jet to fly to motherfucking North Korea. Like, he definitely not getting out. Like, come on, man. Did he even look like a nigga who would even do good, like, in jail, period? So I would have to imagine somebody
It
said, I kind of
depends.
what?
If that comes up, then maybe they
Yeah, so,
might if they feel
I would
like
imagine
she's
that
a
they
credible
have
witness.
communicated
Like
with law
it
enforcement
depends. If she
for
was
this
like
exact reason, right?
I
Like,
don't
yo,
know.
we weren't trying to run, none of that shit. We are definitely trying to cooperate. We're trying to make sure we get to a trial that we can either get this dismissed or we could beat it. And he's not a flight risk. And when you think about, you know, we could Google this now, right? Federal guidelines for bail consideration, right? I mean, it's usually the same. I forgot what they call it. It's a they usually consider a few things, and there's actually a name for that. In federal cases, they consider these things severity of the offense. Obviously, these are offenses that we believe. Again, not a lawyer, but we believe that
I hate I don't like when people do that. When people say, "Oh, such and such got a lot of people wrapped up in their BS." Okay, these is grown people we talking about. So after y'all witnessed his BS and y'all decided to still stay around the BS, it's y'all fault. Y'all to blame too because y'all decided to stay with the BS. So we gotta stop saying, oh, such and such got this person or that person wrapped up in a bull crap. Because the moment you seen the bull crap and you decided to stay, that mean you with the bull crap too. You basically saying you okay with the bull crap. So when you seen the bull crap and you ain't leave, that's on you.
believe that this could be damn near a life sentence for Diddy. Um, they're serious and heinous in nature. If they concern anything about shooting, maybe a murder, we don't know, but sexual assaults, sex trafficking, these are pretty serious first degree offenses, and yeah, the severity of the offenses are going to be seen as high. The defendant's criminal history, I don't know what Diddy's criminal. We could probably Google that, right? Even though we might not know everything completely, and I don't know if they really. I mean, obviously, if something that was expungible, like they wouldn't give a fuck. But if he had prior felonies, I don't know if he was.
Yeah,
Was Diddy a felon?
Diddy wasn't no
Is
felon.
Diddy a felon? Oh, here we go. So he was arrested in the lobby. God damn, my boy was probably going. Have y'all seen the video of Diddy, like, kind of outside? There's a video of Diddy in New York, and I think I even posted it yesterday. It was kind of an odd video. Like, Diddy's just there, and he's almost there like it's like mannequin. Like, he's just kind of there, and people. It's just like a spectacle. Oh shit, it's Diddy. It was kind of an odd video. I think I even posted it yesterday. It was kind of an odd video because like Diddy's just there, and he's almost there like it's like a mannequin. Like, he's just kind of there, and people. It's just like a spectacle. Oh shit, it's Diddy. He's not really reacting to people. He's not answering their questions. He's not saying, nah, everything's good, brother love. He's not doing that normal thing. He's just kind of there and allowing people to have almost just access to him, which is, still a little bit shocking. I guess not here. I will find it on Academics TV. DJ Academics TV. Sorry. Here we go.
So he saw him already.
If I G-Dep, like in 2013, is it 2013 or 2010? I can't remember when.
Who, Diddy?
He basically got away with the murder like 15 years before, and he randomly just came out and said, yo, I gotta get this off my conscience. I clapped the nigga, bro, back in the 90s.
Yeah, G-Dep.
Like, he's literally confessed to murder randomly. Okay? This is G-Dep, and by the way, I'm not trying to bring him down or whatever while we talk.
He was on the verge of making it big.
But yeah, in the fall of 1993, a month before his 19th birthday, so apparently this was when he was 18, he did a murder which stayed on his conscience for a very, very long time. And when did he admit to it? Let's see. I can't remember when. He had admitted. Okay. Yeah, in 2010. Yeah, in 2010, confessed randomly. Like, I don't even know. Maybe it was a video when he confessed. But he did like a video. He was just like, yeah, I killed somebody, which was kind of like so spooky about the 90s. Look, G-Dep confession. It's so spooky about the 90s that somebody could just fucking do a murder and get away with it.
Yeah, blow your brains out and walk down the street like ain't nothing happened.
Let's get some money, you said. Yeah. I rode the bike over. I rode the bike in the neighborhood for a couple of minutes. Then,
Hey, by the way, I'm not judging this man who knows what was on his conscience and who knows how his life was being lived. I don't know what that feels like, where you did something and it's just fucking with you so much that, years after, remember this is 1993, and in 1993 that would have been 17 years afterwards, right? So he did this at 18, 17, so he pretty much lived a second life, but it was still on his conscience, and he admitted.
I just went towards Park Avenue, and I saw a guy standing there, smoking like he was smoking a cigarette or something like that. And I just approached him. I got off the bike, and I approached him. He didn't seem like he saw me, so I just approached him. And then when I approached him, I asked him where the money.
Yeah, I feel bad. You can tell, just the way he's looking in this confession, you can tell like this is played in his mind 15,000 times. And by the way, the only reason I'm playing this This is one of Diddy's artists, a former Bad Boy artist. He recently just got out of jail. The video I just played is Diddy meeting up with him, and Diddy's dapping him up, and Diddy was just like, "Welcome home." Ironically, this guy confessed and did his jail time, which eventually got commuted. Obviously that would have been a cold case pretty much, but he admitted to it. So he did about 10 years. They commuted his sentence, or actually more than 10 years. They commuted his sentence. He did 13 years actually. They commuted his sentence, and they essentially granted him his freedom. And it's ironic. The irony here is that Diddy gets arrested today for crimes that he's definitely not admitting to. But I remember back then, I don't even know if Diddy spoke on it. Spoke on him like admitting to that and then getting charged and confessing and then pleading guilty. But Diddy's in the position where he's potentially going to go to prison for things that obviously he's not confessing to. There's a lot of smoke there, right? Anyway, let me just finish. It's only 2 more minutes. Listen to G Deck, and I'll get back to it.
Facially, but he didn't say anything. So I asked him again, where's the money?
Damn, G-Dep.
He put his hands up.
G-Dep head was crazy. Look at his head. That John, he had a Melvin the Martian head. Oh, milk dud head, jelly bean head. That's crazy.
And then he just, I don't know, we caught eye contact. Then he like grabbed the gun, and it was kind of like a struggle. And I pulled the gun back from him, and then I fired 3 times, and I didn't realize it was hitting him or anything. Cause I didn't see anything. I just fired. I fired 3 times.
A mega mind.
And then I went after I fired.
I think G Dep the only one that went to jail.
Ran back to the
Oh, and Shine for that club shooting.
He kind of came after me.
His head
I rolled off. And I rolled up the block, then around the block. Then I came back around the block on 112th and Park Avenue and looked up the block.
He remembers even the exact street names. Yeah, this was fucking with him. You could tell by this is zoned out look as he's doing his confession.
I saw like a scene.
You're welcome.
I saw like a police car. I don't know if it was. I saw a car with the lights. The lights coming towards me the wrong way. The wrong way on the block. And I saw an officer look like somebody kneeling over somebody on the floor. So I figured that's what it was. And then I just rolled the bike back around the opposite way. And then I went into my building.
Well, yeah, G-Dep is home.
Yep.
And Diddy, while in New York, looked like that security flanking him here.
Oh, that's crazy. I thought he saw him already. There's a war going on outside.
So ironic and interesting. Even the song in the background is a war going on outside. Now the other video that was in question that I was talking about was this video here. And I've been seeing these videos a lot because Diddy doesn't seem.
Shorty walked up on Diddy right here and said, "No Diddy."
40 look at him. Oh my God, he's real. But he's not like answering people like, nah, baby, I'm innocent, girl. Like obviously, that might be a bad look if he says that anyway. But like he's not even like answering them and like being very present. Anyway.
That's really Diddy, bro.
Lying. Bitch, stop touching me. What are you talking about? Stop touching me.
Hey, yo, what's up?
That's crazy. Where Carisha? Where Carisha and them? No, Diddy.
No Diddy.
Man, where's Christian? Yo, Christian Combs. This is where you gotta live these raps, Christian Combs. You say anybody who say no Diddy gonna get fucked up. Somebody get Christian Combs. Where is he? Now, here's the interesting part about it. I do believe that if we go by the civil suits, let me just finish like this.
Yo, stop fucking playing with me. Back the fuck up. No, well, guess who not? Watch how I won't.
Now, one of the interesting things about this is that, you know, remember I'm telling y'all, this is a RICO case. Now, shout out to my man, and I don't know if I could get him on here. I'm gonna hit Kodak's lawyer. I'm gonna give me a second. I'm gonna try to see if I can get him on here because here's the thing too, as I said about if they're gonna hit him with a RICO, if you're gonna hit Diddy with the RICO, hold on a second. I'm tweeting out this damn link. I don't know if I didn't tweet it out. Oh, so anyway, here's the point I'm trying to say. So, if we're going to assume that there's going to be a racketeer and a RICO charge that's going to be levied against Diddy, if you're trying to paint a picture to either a grand jury or now clearly to a trial jury, that Diddy is some mastermind that's had other people do his bidding, whether obviously recruiting. Because remember, a lot of these escorts and women were, they were ascertained by other people. So other people would, hey, I'm going to put you on a private jet. I'm going to send you there for Diddy to be used in some sexual, ritual or fucking freak off. It's very tough and very hard to say he's the only one you're going to charge. So what we're going to see is that there's going to be probably some other charges. Right? And when I mean other charges, other people charged. Now, if we go by a lot of these civil suits, they were trying to throw a good damn lob to say Justin Combs should get charged as well. Basically saying he was doing a lot of the same things in terms of freak-offs and sex trafficking women. Again, those claims came from civil suits. But we all know the investigation of this arises from civil suits. So it's going to be important to see who gets charged as well. I don't think that Justin Combs will be charged. I don't think Christian Combs is going to be charged at all because we didn't really hear his name at all. Actually, we did hear his name in one of the joints about he drugged some girl. I just don't think he's going to be charged, honestly, personally. Justin Combs, I think he's a little bit closer to the situation if they were going to investigate it. I still don't think he gets charged. Quincy, I think he's, in the clear. Obviously, if you think about his beautiful daughters, I don't think they're good. But we'll find out soon. We'll probably find out before, I'm pretty sure if you watch, the mom of Justin Combs is Misa Hilton. That's her name, I believe. She'll say something shortly, and usually the way how the feds work is that any law enforcement entity, they like to do all their arrests at the same time. So if Diddy's in custody, and let's say he's been in custody for a few hours, they did a coordinated effort to get the others in custody if they're arresting other people, right? So we should probably shortly see some type of update, either from Misa's page, and obviously she's probably gonna react to either Diddy getting arrested, or if her son Justin gets arrested, she's definitely gonna be saying something, right? We probably hope. So we'll see. We'll see about that. Who else could be charged? I mean, there are certain people who probably worked with him that did his bidding, right? Allegedly. People who used to, you remember the whole thing about the Cassie thing, right? One of the big, and this I was talking about getting Bradford Cohen on here, because Bradford Cohen eloquently put this on the record, which I thought was smart. He's a defense attorney that has, did his work in federal and state cases, and he's a brilliant attorney. He said, when the video leaked of Diddy giving Cassie the beats, when that video leaked, he said, hey, I'm not being an asshole. I know a lot of people are going to be shocked by what I'm saying, but I'm not being an asshole, right? What he did say,
new video of
what he did say was, I think this video might have been leaked strategically. Well, what's the strategy? If it was leaked strategically, not by the feds, because the feds could have leaked it too. They believe Cassie's team may have already had this video, maybe have even threatened Diddy with the video. That probably led to Diddy settling in 24 hours. Historically, that's record time, right? But this video and it leaking could probably help drive the narrative, especially if the prosecutors or the investigators subpoenaed Cassie in for an interview. And in the interview, it wasn't clear if they were looking at her as just a victim or perhaps a Madonna. They were looking at her as Ghislaine Maxwell to Jeffrey Epstein. Hey, Cassie, yeah, I know he was abusive with you. Yeah, he used to give you the beats, but all of the people, the other victims that were sex trafficked around the time you were there, we heard you reached out to them. We heard you used to, sweet talk them, and you used to, when they were in distress, you used to calm them down. That sounds like somebody who's complicit. Again, I don't know this as a fact. I don't know this as a fact, but I'm going off Bradford Cohen's theory. It was a brilliant theory, and you got to think really strategically, right? So how do you, if you're Cassie, how do you clear yourself? Well, the way you clear yourself, you put the video out of this nigga giving you the beats. Hey, whatever y'all think I did, I ain't do it. If I did get like 15 bitches and 15 long dick niggas, pause. Pause, extra pause there. It's because I had to. Diddy was beating my ass. So I'm not like a Ghislaine Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell was the person who would get the young girls for Epstein and would even tell them, hey, nah, maybe you should go topless. Maybe you should do this. Like basically almost coercing them, right? But she, was seen as more of a friendly face because she's a woman, right? But she kind of was doing the same bullshit, right? So if the feds are looking at this as a possibility, how does Cassie escape that? Because put it like this, if you think about just traditional pimping, the bottom bitch gets the beats too. Like, let's keep it a beat. The bottom bitch gets the beats too. Like, by the way, I'm gonna talk. If you're new to my stream, and I know we do have like, it looks like we have about almost 50,000 people here. I'm not the guy you come to hear like fucking politically correct. So we're gonna talk. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect either women or nobody, but we're gonna talk a little bit, realistic. Because that's how investigators are gonna be looking at it, at least before they file their charges or know where to go. Okay, yeah, maybe he was beating her ass because the nigga is a woman beater and he does all type of shit, but maybe she was with him. How do you help convince, maybe not the investigators, but you put it into the ecosphere that possibly could encourage the narrative that could affect the grand jury, or otherwise you leak the video. What video leaks? The video, again, think about all the videos that could leak. Didn't 50 Cent say that he supposedly got sent footage about a freak off that Cassie was in, and literally hit Diddy up and said, bro, hey, niggas think I'm beefing with you like this. It ain't that serious. And he basically said he tipped Diddy off that there was that video don't leak. The video of them and whatever freak off don't leak. Right? And that video was being sent around. What video leaks? It's the video of Cassie getting beat. You get what I'm saying? Now, apparently, let me play that. You guys know what I'm talking about.
And you see,
he's everywhere, and determination, alligating, and everything been up to, injecting his signature sarcasm.
God, kick
what can deal point.
I ain't gonna lie, G Deal finna make a bag. The amount of interviews my boy finna do. Like, where is the? There's a 50.
Ain't nobody.
Thoroughly examined.
There's a 50 interview where he literally says it. Let me see. Oh, here we
What
go.
up, guys? Your boy here for you guys.
Friend, you want to be the hot?
After the
Whatever.
do you think that Diddy was coming at you though?
So did he?
Yeah, because you know he said some slick shit. Like what?
Because you know, Puppy's like a bitch.
Oh shit! What'd he say?
To describe Puppy in one word is I know it sounds kind of hard, but I'll explain my statement. See, you know how ugly always got like pretty friends? He want to be the hot in the group. He want to make sure he getting all the attention. He want to make sure the niggas want to holler at him.
Wow.
You know, and it's the reality of the situation, man. Don't need me to tell you.
So
I mean, if he tell you, he'll tell you himself what happened in Miami, stay in Miami. Well, you know, it's not even overseas on Diddy. I don't know who he's talking about because he didn't say my name.
right, he didn't say your name. So
Right, but I feel like that's the way I feel about him. I feel like he's, at the end of the day, whoever's around him, well, this is the final notice, the final note. Because they'll suck the life out of him like everybody else that he's been around. Man, I don't know. I know, check this out, on the up and up, the fuck, but he called, we should kick it on telephone after the match. And matter of fact, they sent me the girl pictures, like pictures of this girl, like, not the shit that y'all saw. Worse, way worse.
wow. Oh, you kidding me, yo?
Like penetration pictures and
Nah, come on, man.
Yo.
What?
All right, we got Myron Gaines on the line.
Hey, what's up, bro? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, chat. As promised, you know, I have a former federal law enforcement agent, also a friend of mine, Myron Gaines from the co-host of Fresh and Fit podcast. He's here. I told you I was going to bring him on. He has additional insight, not only how these investigations are usually conducted. He could probably give us some more insight on how these, obviously it's a high-profile arrest, how these cases are presented to the U.S. attorney and such forth. Essentially, I was just talking about a not really unrelated point, but I was talking about this has been a lot of chess plays happening until this point. I want to give you some theories that I would love for you to react to, and then I want to give you the floor to kind of like break it down as you see fit. So I had said last week, once I seen two things. We seen the subpoena get fired off for Daphne Joy, which is 50 Cent's baby mama, and Diddy, for related to them at some Miami hotels. Also, simultaneously, we see Diddy go to New York. We haven't seen Diddy in New York without him being on a press run in years. We also see that house he had in Homely Hills in LA is officially, like, the realtors are taking care of that. I said I don't want to say the end is near, but essentially the end is near. I felt the decision from the grand jury was going to be very near. And I said within the month. Unfortunately, I was right 5-6 days afterwards. We're hearing this. We're getting some details that he was arrested in the lobby of an expensive high-rise, New York high-rise. And by the way, chat, I'll show you guys this afterwards, but the U.S. attorney is saying that the indictment they plan to unseal in the morning. Myron, what are your thoughts about all this?
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, man. So what do you want to go into in particular as far as this case? Because this is all a very complex situation with overall investigation. What do you want to go into particularly?
Perfect. So, I keep hearing this a lot, that people are like, why didn't he run? Why didn't blah blah blah? What, like, in a situation where, like, just go back to your HSI days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you guys are monitoring or had an active investigation / grand jury proceeding on a high profile target, how would that have taken place? And then how would potentially an arrest look like?
Okay, sure. So I think the number one thing here to keep note of is Diddy was cooperating with the authorities, right? Like, his attorneys were pretty much talking to the United States Attorney's Office the whole time, trying to, hey, look, he's going to be traveling here, he's going to do this, etc. And I think the reason why he did that was he understood that indictment is imminent. He's going to get arrested at some point, and he looks at it like, look, the charges are coming down. We probably know what they're going to do, and we can talk about that next. So he's looking at it like, I need to be out on bond to fight this case, right? Yeah. I don't want to be, in jail during the proceedings. So he wants to be out on bond. So I think the way his team angled it was, they're going to be cooperative. Anytime you travel, they let him know, etc. Hey, we're intending to do this, we're intending to do that. Hey, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be in New York so I can be close to you guys, because it's HSI in New York that did this in the Southern District of New York, which is one of the most aggressive prosecutorial offices in the country.
Hey, by the way, are they, I don't know how they score efficiency, but, like, it feels like that they almost get the most amount of cases or high profile cases, especially
some of the most high profile cases. They were responsible for indicting the mafia in the 1980s, right? With Paul Castellano and these guys back in the day, John Gotti, they went after them. Rudy Giuliani famously went after them. They did the 6ix9ine case, they did the Casanova case, a lot of the big hip hop cases out of New York, get indicted out of Southern District of New York. So it's a big district, and they're one of the most aggressive AUSA's offices, one of the most prestigious. So he's like, look, I know the indictments are coming down. I'm going to go ahead and cooperate. I'm going to put myself in New York. So if you guys have access to me, any questions, etc. And obviously they indicted him, and he was right there. So I think the play from his legal team was, hey, we're going to make a case that when the indictments do come down, when we go to your initial appearance and we try to get bond, they're going to give you out on bond because you've already shown that you're not a flight risk. The two biggest things that they look for whenever you're doing your bond hearing are you a danger to the community, and are you a flight risk? Obviously, by him saying, I'm cooperating and I'm doing whatever, he's going to probably surrender his passport. He's not going to be a flight risk. And then as far as like a danger to community, he can make the argument, I'm not a danger to the community, etc. So more than likely, I predict he's probably going to get bond, which is why he's been so cooperative in the first place. And him and his legal team have probably been coordinating with the United States Attorney's Office.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Still a million things on pat. First of all, we've seen even foreign criminals, El Chapo. We've seen those people being taken into custody. Obviously, that the level of the risk of flight risk clearly changes when you're an international suspect versus one like Diddy, who, as you said, is cooperating. But
yeah, if you're a foreign national, no status in the United States, it's an automatic detention. Okay. Every single time. Automatic detention. You don't get you would need, the only way that you would get bond as a foreign national with no status in the United States is the HSI agent would need to parole you, which wouldn't make sense. They would never do that. So, because that would mean that you're probably cooperating, but if you're in jail at some point, it just wouldn't happen 9 out of 10 times. So if you're an illegal alien with no status, automatic detention.
Okay. Remember, we're talking about Diddy.
Yeah, he's a U.S. citizen, so.
Okay. And but very high profile guy. What does a bond hearing even looks like? Or what's a bond package or a bail package that and I know we're jumping the gun a little bit because we got to get into the indictment and what we probably think it is, but
right into it. So this is what's going to happen. He got arrested by HSI in New York, which for those that are wondering, I used to be an HSI agent out of Laredo, Texas. I've been to the New York field office a couple of times. I'm very familiar with that office. They're obviously a big office. They do a lot of big cases. They were intimately involved in the R. Kelly case. They actually were the ones that did the 6ix9ine case. So HSI in New York is definitely a powerhouse, and so is that U.S. Attorney's Office. So I'm not surprised they aggressively pursued this. But this is what's going to happen. He got indicted. He got arrested, right? They probably got the true bill today, this afternoon sometime. They went to go pick him up at the hotel. What's going to happen is he's going to have his initial appearance in front of a magistrate judge tomorrow, probably in Manhattan. When he's there, They're going to unseal the indictment and they're going to hit him with the charges. I predict it's probably going to be sex trafficking and racketeering because, and I could talk about why it's going to be racketeering here in a second, but he's going to go to his initial appearance in front of a magistrate judge. That magistrate judge is going to assign him to a district judge because he's been indicted. So now his case is going to go to a district judge for his initial appearance because it's mandatory by law that you go see a judge within 24 to 72 hours of you being arrested. So he's going to get the charges read to him that are on the indictment. He's not going to actually enter a plea. It's an initial appearance only. They're going to tell him he has the right to remain silent, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to ask, hey, what does the government want to do as far as like his bond, which I'm assuming him and his legal team are probably posturing to try to get him released on a bond tomorrow is what I'm assuming, which is why he's been so cooperative and flew up to New York and kind of made himself available to the feds because he knew that this indictment was imminent.
Okay, do you believe that magistrate judge, which is going to be tasked with the initial appearance, do you think that, again, we're talking high profile case, it's a lot of man hours, a lot of money. Do you think that they are prepared to deal with a potential bond application or a bond, almost initial appearance to listening to bond tomorrow, or it's something that they will probably put off to another date?
I think they'll probably kind of figure it out tomorrow. I think the whole purpose of him cooperating with the government the way he has was for this very moment so that he can get bond. And if he doesn't get it on this one, there'll probably be a bond hearing shortly thereafter, maybe a couple days after, where they just will strictly have a bond hearing because he's not going to be entitled to what's called a preliminary hearing to establish probable cause because he's been indicted by a grand jury. So the next step is going to be the arraignment, which is where he's actually going to formally enter his plea. And obviously there's going to be a potential bond hearing if they need it. But I think more than likely he's either A, going to get the bond tomorrow, or B, there'll be a bond hearing specifically for that where his attorneys are going to argue on his behalf and say that he's not a flight risk or a danger to the community, which are the two main prerequisites to, get yourself bond. He'll probably surrender his passport if he hasn't already. And yeah, but I predict he's probably going to get out on bond, which is why he's been so cooperative with them in the first place.
Okay. All right. So let's deal with some, minute details. And I know you've been there where you're the main case agent and you've gotten a case, you've presented it, and I don't know, maybe worked it up, maybe your chain of command, but eventually they got approved to go to the U.S. Attorney's Office. They say, yes, we're going to go with this. Somehow there is either an indictment or it's just written up in a complaint, and you now have to serve the arrest warrant. What do you think? So this one came down via TMZ today. They said they plan to arrest him tomorrow, but something came up. We don't know what. They haven't said. They had to do it today. In your experience, what was this like? Again, obviously you're saying that you believe that there was a presentment today, that the true bill of indictment came through. So they're aware of it. What do you think could have changed the circumstances? You just, again, we're spitballing. We don't know everything, but, you're probably the best person we could ask.
Yeah, I can explain that. So, I guess I could talk about the case agent perspective, then we'll go into the indictment. So for the audience that's wondering, because they might not understand some of these terms. So guys, the case agent is the agent or the special agent in this case that's going to be responsible, that's running that investigation, right? He's running the case. He's coordinating directly with the U.S. attorney, right? The AUSA, Assistant United States Attorney, that's doing the case. And they're kind of working together. Now, the feds work a lot differently than the state. And what I mean by this is the special agent and the prosecutor are on the phone like almost every day. They become like best friends because you don't have the same level of authority, counter to, what people think, right? Common to believe what people think is, people think, oh yeah, feds have all this power, etc. The reality is the feds don't have that much power. We don't have the same authority to do probable cause arrests like state and locals do. State and local finds you on a car, right, and you're drinking and driving, you got a DUI or whatever. They can just go ahead and make that probable cause arrest right there. Or they catch you with drugs. They can make that arrest there. Feds don't work that way. They need to call a prosecutor, a federal prosecutor, and say, look, I got XYZ. I want to go ahead and prosecute this case, which rarely happens with probable cause arrest. Most cases at the federal level are done by indictment, as you guys are seeing here. And I can explain that whole process if you want me to. But regardless, Diddy in this case was indicted. So that means that this agent went in.
Hold on. You're giving some new information I didn't know. So
okay.
On a
this is extensive. So stop me wherever you need to.
Yeah. Okay. So you just explained what most people, because again, when we hear the feds, it's like the boogeyman, right? So like that's just super different, right? So for example, yeah, if a local police pulls you over this and third, and they have probable cause, they could just arrest you and hit you with the charges when they get to the station, whatever the case is, right?
Yep.
But you're
100%.
saying that the feds don't move like that.
No, they don't. And the reason why.
At what point do you pass it over to the U.S. Attorney's Office? And so how much of the work here is there like an agent or maybe a couple of agents doing versus, okay, this is when we definitely know this is in the U.S. Attorney's hands and they're making these plays. So you break it down from at least externally what we've seen.
So this is how I think. This is what I
King, what up?
speculate the investigation started to some degree. When Cassie first came out and said that she was being abused by him, etc., right? And they might have got tips and everything else like this from before, right, from the tip line or whatever. What I think more than likely happened was they started talking to a couple people, going out, doing a couple knock and talks. Hey, this seems a little weird. These women keep coming forward and complaining about, nefarious sexual activity with Diddy from dating back from the 90s, whatever. This is a little weird. And at that point, especially if you're dealing with someone high profile, after the second or third or fourth interview where you might have a good witness or two, you're going to the United States Attorney's Office early on, right? And you're saying, look, this is the target, this is who he is, this is what we think we can build, etc. We talked to these people, whatever. And I think in a case like this, they more than likely had the U.S. Attorney's Office here early on. And, I've always said this, the feds and the United States Attorney's Office, right? They like clout. They like the ability to prosecute high-profile individuals. It's going to hit the news. It's going to be a big W for them, a big press release. So I'm assuming once they figured out who the guy was, right, Diddy, they probably were working with the United States Attorney's Office fairly early on this, is what I predict.
Okay.
Given the nature of who the individual was. And also keep in mind, there was a successful prosecution with R. Kelly prior to this. So then some of, if I'm not mistaken, some of the AUSAs that were on that case were also involved in this R. Kelly case.
All right, so
are involved in this Diddy case that were involved in that R. Kelly case. Sorry.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question, right? And you mentioned your prediction, and I guess you could expound on your prediction for charges, and I would love to hear you explain that before. But in following up to that, I also want you to, answer the question of, okay, if because you mentioned, racketeering, and and usually when people are in a racket, it's more than one. It's just not a singular individual. And maybe I'm wrong, but do you believe that this indictment solely falls on Sean Diddy Combs, or maybe there are 3, 4, 5, 6, a dozen other people, maybe not charged with everything, but with kind of ancillary people who the prosecutors can try to dance along maybe in the trial and say, hey, these were the people that were doing his bidding, but he was making a call. What do you think?
Yeah, so the reason why they're going to have to use the racketeering statute, right, is because a lot of these crimes happened a long time ago, right?
Yep.
Like some of these crimes are beyond the statute.
That's what I was saying earlier.
So in order for the prosecutors to kind of bring in some of those allegations that happened in the 90s or maybe even the 80s or early 2000s or whatever, they're going to need to go ahead and prove that he was committing these crimes for a period of time, right? Racketeering activity, right? And the criminal organization is ongoing, or the criminal enterprise is ongoing. So that is why they're going to have to do this under the auspice of RICO, so that they can go ahead and say, look, we're going to bring in all these other crimes, right, that were done decades ago, because he's been doing it for a while. So sex trafficking is considered a crime that falls under the RICO Act, right? There's drug trafficking, there's violence, witness intimidation, there's extortion, all these different types of crimes that they typically had there historically to go after organized crime like the mafia, whatever. As long as they can prove that he's still committing these crimes to some degree, they can bring in all those allegations from prior, but they need to do it under the RICO statute to be able to bring them in, so they get around the whole statute of limitations problem.
Oh wow, yeah, I spoke about that before too. Hey, could you so sex trafficking, and I've heard a few, us YouTubers on here, obviously 99.9, and you're obviously the 0.1% that has worked in law enforcement. We're either like ghetto lawyers, or we're going off like what we either know from either our experience dealing with the criminal justice system, or just kind of like looking at these things a lot. Could you explain sex trafficking? Because I've heard, like, for example, like Whack 100 said, yo, well, if you fly a girl out and you fuck her, and if she alleges that there is an abuse there, well, the person crossed state lines, this and third, it's sex trafficking. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of like a very loose and broad, interpretation of what sex trafficking could be. What is sex trafficking? And where would a federal authority start to look at it in?
So I'm going to just kind of give the more practical agent side of it, right? So the thing with sex trafficking, and this is very contrary to what people think, it's not as common as people think it is, right? What people always conflate sex trafficking with is human smuggling. Bringing in illegal aliens into the United States for some or a fee. Those individuals are brought into the United States, their families are being extorted, etc. That's human smuggling. Now, does it lead to human trafficking later on when they get into the United States and they're forced to work jobs or whatever it may be? Of course. But people often conflate human smuggling with human trafficking, which are two completely different crimes. One is, AUSC 1324. The other one is a far more serious crime that's 18 USC, right, which is the criminal code versus the immigration code. So that's number one. Number two, as far as sex trafficking goes, it's actually fairly hard to prove. A lot of the times when people think that they got a sex trafficking case, and I know this because I've been on so many of these different raids, is we had these girls that are being trafficked, whatever. You talk to them, they all love their pimp. They don't want to cooperate. They don't want to say that they were being held or whatever. Some are lying to protect them. Some of them were trafficked or whatever. But the point is that it's very difficult to get witnesses because sometimes they don't want to necessarily cooperate. So what ends up happening is you just end up getting everyone arrested for solicitation charges, right? Ends up being just a prostitution ring bust. Now, the way to get around that, though, right, which is how the feds come in a lot of the times, is if the girls are under 18, it's an automatic human trafficking charge.
Wow.
Automatic.
Why
So
automatic?
that's where they're going to get them. Is some of these girls, from what I understand, were under 18 at the time when Diddy was messing with them and bringing them around in different states.
That's true,
I
right?
think they're going to get them. I mean, I'll have to look at the indictment to see, but this is my prediction.
Okay, let me interject and add. So on one of the particular civil cases that he has is that there was a young woman who was 17 that was supposedly, she met someone that worked for his label. That person said, hey, I think Diddy would like you. They called Diddy. Diddy spoke to the girl, spoke to the person, and then within a matter of hours, the girl got on a private jet to fly to Diddy and allegedly was around him. By the way, this girl, I'll post it here. I'll send you a link if you want to show it on your stream.
Yeah, please.
Or you can even Google 17-year-old Diddy. There's multiple like articles about it. Her face is blurred out. She was seen sitting on his lap. Okay, there's a New York Post.
Crazy work.
I'll post it in the chat here.
Okay, yeah, because Bill's on the computer, so he can.
All right, so Bill, you can just click from the chat. It's a chat between me and Myron, and it's a New York Posting. It says Sean Diddy Combs accused of drugging and gang R-worded a 17-year-old in the new suit. There's photos of this girl sitting on his lap. Obviously, she's not shown for obvious reasons. She was 17 at the time. Her lawsuit against him says she was gang R-worded, but what's also very important is she was 17. Here's the important part. I think she was in, I believe, let me make sure, Detroit, I believe, and then he was either in New York. And let me just make sure. I'm sorry. Yes, the woman said she met Pierre, who was an executive at Bad Boys Entertainment. So she met one of his workers at a lounge, and then essentially he called Sean Diddy Combs on the phone and convinced the teen to fly to New York City. Before leaving the lounge, they said the worker took her to the bathroom where he smoked crack with her, and apparently had her have sex with him first. Then he put her in a private jet from Pontiac, Michigan. She landed in Teterboro, New Jersey, which is where Jay-Z and everybody else, everybody who got a private jet goes to New York, lands in Jersey and Teterboro. That's fact. Um, and yeah, they drove to a studio, and she has pictures to prove she's with him. Would that be considered as sex trafficking?
Yeah, that's a cut and dry human trafficking right there at the federal level because she's not 18. He moved her in between states at
Yeah,
interstate
he
commerce.
do.
So that's where they're going to get them. And you know, and I know some of the audience here might be shocked by me saying that human trafficking isn't as prevalent as people think, but it really isn't. You know, it's really the human smuggling that is the extremely common thing that people tend to conflate because they're two completely different crimes. But the big way, and I know this from, you know, being on human trafficking task forces and working with these guys closely, a lot of the times when they do these busts, what ends up happening is it's prostitution ring and they don't want to cooperate against a pimp. They're not really being abused. They're doing it willingly and they're of age. However, if they catch a girl there that's underage, then it morphs into human trafficking automatically because that woman can't consent.
I have a question.
That's how they get the nexus.
If the girl lied about her age,
Does that matter? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Nope.
So if she's 17 and she was being, and there was a pimp and she was being prostituted, it's automatic human trafficking charge, and the feds will take that almost always.
Right.
The two biggest agencies
Right.
that
And
investigate
look
human
at
trafficking
A King.
are Homeland Security Investigation, HSI.
King, look, right. He got 6 kids, right? And look at one of his sons right now, damn near following his following in his footprint. Yeah, that's it. But you gotta think. You gotta think, King. Diddy is gonna be considered as high priority inside that prison. They're gonna segregate him. He's gonna get put in PC or segregation, and it's the feds we talking about. So segregation is way different than the state segregation. You know what I'm saying? So if anything happens to Diddy while he's in their custody, that will be the biggest lawsuit that they ever have to deal with. So they're gonna do everything in their power to keep Diddy protected while he's in there. I promise you they are. They don't want that problem. Yeah, King Combs. He following down in the same path as dad. With the girls and yep.
All right, and the FBI.
Okay. Also, what about this? In different states, there's different ages of consent.
Yeah.
So on a
wait. I just learned something, right? You know how we got the different ages and consent, 17, 18, stuff like that, right? That says that that's the law, right? But if the feds come in and decide to say that they overrule that law, that 17, 18 is out the window.
Leave, and we could Google it for New York. New York age of consent.
It's like
18.
18.
17.
That is 17. Now, that's statewide. Obviously, the national age of consent federally is 18.
Yep.
Could Diddy have an argument to say, well, she came here willingly, and the age of consent in New York is 17.
Yeah, and he act just like him too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if his legal team doesn't try it. You know, but they're gonna say, hey, federally it's 18. So we'll see what happens. And I think that's where he's gonna have to pay his defense team the big bucks to make that argument in court for him.
Wow. Okay, so all right, we get sex trafficking. So I think everybody who's spoken about this, and I've spoken to you, I've spoken to Bradford Cohen. Yo, I gotta get you with Bradford Cohen. Like, I'm telling you, like he's an invaluable mind that everything he's predicted when it comes to these proceedings have always been correct. And I think you and him, you guys are like, it would be like a power couple. Pause. Anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But wait, she came from Michigan, you said, right?
Yes, she came from Detroit, Michigan.
Consent, a 16 in Michigan? Okay, all right. I was just looking to see what the age of consent is in Michigan. But sorry, what was the next thing you wanted to hit?
So I guess we're looking at the litany of charges he could face. It appears that sex trafficking is going to be on the bill, right? There's been rumors about the 1999 shooting, the club shooting, that supposedly the woman who was shot in the face, and who believes that Diddy was the one who pulled the trigger, but New York State did not charge Diddy with that crime. Instead, they blame it on Shine. That particular situation, we're hearing about the Tupac situation. We're hearing about maybe other, and I had said this earlier, but I wouldn't get your take on it. Remember the first person when they did the raid that was arrested? The only person that was arrested, not detained, was supposedly the drug mule. Do you see maybe, and we hear a lot of drugs. Do we see maybe some drug charges kind of mixed into it? It kind of gives it some color. No, unfortunately, I'm not trying to just content this out, but it's just like it kind of makes it seem like, hey, it's not only sex trafficking, this is a drug-fueled environment. And then maybe you could add some violence in with, either
to pad up the racketeering, right? So when you're hitting people with RICO, right? Like you have certain crimes in there that you want to show to establish that it's a criminal enterprise and they're committing crimes in furtherance of the organization, right? So, like I said, there's a couple different crimes that fall under the racketeering, right? Vehicle theft, extortion, murder, kidnapping, drug trafficking, etc. So what I predict is, right, we don't know the indictment yet. We'll see it tomorrow, probably when it's unsealed, when he goes in front of the judge. They might put that in there to kind of pad that this is a component to the criminal organization, because some of these women that are victims, complained and said, oh yeah, I was under the influence of drugs, they were readily available to me, etc. So they can use that to kind of substantiate and prop up this RICO charge, because the reason why they're using the RICO is because the RICO allows them to bring in all these other cases in that might have been kind of fallen by the wayside due to statute of limitations. RICO allows them to bring it back in. It's kind of like the glue that holds everything together, if that makes sense.
Okay. Do you think that there will be any specific charges of, sexual assault?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, because the thing is that they've had this grand jury convened for a very long time. I remember reading about this originally, like almost 2 to 3 months ago.
But no, not really though, King. Not really, King. If Diddy is convicted, he's facing a life sentence, bro. Like that's what's on the table. He's facing at least a good 40 to 50 to life type time. So, Buddy definitely not getting off easy. That money don't see if this was the state, if this was a state case, yes, I need y'all to understand that. If this was a state case, yeah, his money would definitely help him out. But this is the federal government we talking about. They don't care about none of that. They're gonna cook him. Don't let the Pac and Big stuff come into play. They're gonna cook him.
Jury thing. So that tells me the fact that they're indicting him
Is
now.
that unusual? Is that unusual? Like again, we have no idea about federal grand juries. It feels like they've presented this case for 2 months.
Okay, let me explain how grand jury works to the federal level. Give me 1 second. Hold on. So, because a lot of people, so the grand jury is nothing more than a group of your peers that sit in a room and deliberate on cases based on probable cause, right? So, not to be confused with
they're not going.
Jury,
No, they
right,
they
where it's
they
like, 12,
hold
6
on.
to 12, whatever they may be.
They're not gonna freeze his accounts because it's not like a big drug bust type of case or anything like that. And he's in custody right now. So if he was out and he was trying to run or some like that, they'll freeze it. But this ain't like that type of case. Now maybe later on they could freeze it. But it ain't like he got back taxes or any of that type of stuff. That ain't that. Nah. They ain't gonna freeze them accounts.
maybe, right? 12 people. So a grand jury, right? The AUSA convene, then they typically serve for 3 months, 6 months, whatever it may be, and they'll sit there, and the grand jury typically convenes once a week, depending on how busy the United States Attorney's Office is, how often they're indicting cases, whatever it may be. So what ends up happening is the AUSA comes in with their case agent, and the AUSA asks the case agent questions, right? And the case agent presents evidence to the case. Now, keep in mind, I want to make this very clear. It's just the established probable cause, guys. Probable cause is not that high of a threshold, right? But like I said before, when you're indicting, the AUSA pretty much is ready to go to trial. So it's probable cause just to get the indictment, but obviously the AUSA is looking long-term to win a trial. So you go in there, and I've testified literally hundreds of times. You go in there, they sit you down, they swear you in, they ask you questions, right? The AUSA asks you questions on the case, you explain the case, then they open it up for a Q&A for the grand jury to ask you questions. You answer any questions in there about the case, anything that wasn't clear. You walk out the grand jury room, you and the AUSA, you give them some time to deliberate, depending on how complex the case is, that will dictate how long it takes them to deliberate, and then you get something called a true bill of indictment after the fact. That true bill of indictment is filed with the clerk, and then you go ahead and you get an arrest warrant from the judge. And that's to answer your question that you mentioned before, hey, why did they pick him up tonight versus tomorrow? What I'm assuming is, since they had the grand jury convening, right, and they knew that he was going to be indicted today, I guarantee they had probably agents watching him the whole time, and they saw he was at the hotel lobby. They're like, bro, we got eyes on him. It's safe to do it. We technically have an arrest warrant for him now, and in the arrest warrant, if you look at any federal arrest warrant, it says at the bottom, you are hereby commanded to arrest XYZ, right? So if you got him in plain sight and it's easy, it's safe to effect the arrest, you kind of have to arrest him because you've been commanded by a magistrate judge now that you have that arrest warrant, or a district judge, depending on whatever it is. But regardless, you got an arrest warrant from the judge. So they probably had eyes on him the whole time. They saw he was in the hotel lobby. Arrest warrant was signed by the judge. They just picked him up right then and there. And that's what I predict why they picked him up this evening.
So you're not thinking that maybe, even though he seems like he has to be cooperative, you don't think that maybe, I don't know, he was like, oh, I got to go back to Miami, and maybe like he hit like his plane guy, like, hey, let's go back to Miami, because I don't know if he would know when the indictment would be coming down, and they're like, no, fuck that, we're not gonna wait till he gets on another plane.
That could have been a reason too. I mean, I'm thinking, typically the most simple answer tends to be the answer. What I'm predicting is they probably have been having him, they've had him under surveillance for a few days now, especially knowing that the grand jury convened and was going to indict him today, kind of to see if he was going to run or see what would happen. And at this point, with the way
phone tapped or no?
What was that?
Do you think that maybe they have his phone tapped? Like, what's the surveillance like at this point? Like I use 6ix9ine as an example. Basically, like 6ix9ine said, like, I remember him explain to me in depth. He said, yo, I knew what it was. Every time I went outside, there was always a car that drove right by. It was always unmarked. There was always like this one car up there. Like it was basically, but not really knew that he was being definitely heavily surveilled. And also, essentially his phones were also being tapped as well. Do you think they tap his phone just for this purpose, or
No, I'm pretty certain that they, because here's the thing. So another common misconception, people think that tapping a phone is very easy. Getting a federal Title III, which is what it means to get live communication, guys, is extremely fucking difficult. And I can tell you guys, it's because I've written an affidavit and gotten a Title III before. It's very fucking hard to get one, because here's the thing. When you write search warrants, right, a phone tap is the most intrusive, almost one of the most intrusive law enforcement techniques that you can use. So typically, the more intrusive the search, the more probable cause you need to conduct that search. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. You need more probable cause to listen to someone's phone than to fucking arrest them. And the reason why is because you're not only infringing on that individual's, privacy, right, or violating the Fourth Amendment to a degree, but you're doing it legally. You're also listening into the private conversations of other individuals that may or may not be subjects of investigation. So when you're listening to their phone, it's one of the highest standards of getting a search warrant, because you're listening in, and it has to go through a bunch of different people. A district judge has to sign it. It needs to go through something called OEO at the U.S. Department of Justice. It's very difficult to get a wiretap. So what I predict is, since this crime was a crime of things that occurred years ago, it wouldn't make sense, and I actually doubt that they would have the probable cause required to get a phone line tap to actually listen to stuff, because I don't know if you want me to go into this, but to get an actual Title III, you need dirty phone calls, you need informants, you need a pen register, which this is all, you know, if you really want me to go into this, how a phone tap works, I can, but, because I've done it, but I'm 99% sure that they didn't do any Title III intercepts on this investigation, because this is a more historical investigation where you're interviewing witnesses of crimes that occurred in the past, which is why they're using the racketeering statute, because they're trying to bring in these crimes to kind of save them from statute of limitations problems.
Wow. Hey, again, I'm so thankful to have you on here. It's like valuable information.
We'll say this. What they could have been doing, though, instead of a phone tap, right? Because I want to be very clear here. There's different ways to exploit telephones from a law enforcement perspective, right? There's different thresholds. There's something called a ping warrant, right? Which I've done this a million times when I would follow drug traffickers around, where you're able to track the phone, right, and get an update. You know, it's up to you how you want to do it, but you can get it 30 minutes, hour, etc. And you basically know where the guy is going, right? Now, with that said, they would have to prove that the telephone and his travel was involved in some type of criminal activity. So for drug traffickers, it's easy, because you could be like, look, this guy's going to be having a pattern of behavior where he's going to be picking up drugs from individuals and meeting at stash houses, etc. We need to know where he's going, right? Or you can use this to put a tracker on a vehicle too, where you're like, hey, he's involved in this type of crime. I need to know where he's going, etc. So they could do what's called a ping warrant on him to know where he's going at all times. That might not be needed, though, because obviously his defense team was cooperating with him. So, you know, that could be a play as well, but I kind of doubt it in this situation since he was cooperating. Then you have something called a pen register. And a pen register, aka a trap and trace, is where so they basically will get every single person calling you, right, and every single phone call that you make. Now, it doesn't show the contents of the conversation or what's being said, but it just shows frequency. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm watching a drug trafficker and I know that he's involved in dealing cocaine or methamphetamine, whatever, right? And I see that he calls this one certain phone number the most. I'm going to do a subpoena on that phone number, identify who that individual is, and I find out, oh, this guy's a criminal history for trafficking drugs, boom. And I start to identify the organization, right? And then that's how you kind of build it out. That's another way to exploit the telephones. I doubt that they're doing that, though, because this isn't a drug trafficking investigation. He's not actively involved in the crimes anymore. If anything, he's probably, you know, trying to avoid it. So I doubt that they did a pen register, too. I think in this case, they just had good old-fashioned, you know, eye surveillance. His legal team was cooperating, and then this is a historical case anyway. So this is strictly based on witness testimony. It's going to be a witness testimony-heavy investigation.
Okay. Now, again, you know, and like when was dick riding pause, but you're the perfect person to have on at this moment. But I do have to ask this question because, you know, again, I keep saying Bradford Cohen. He's also like kind of analyzed this point, but I want to hear your analysis of it.
Yeah.
So it made the news. It made TMZ that one of the last things, and you tell me where you think this came from. Do you think this came from the U.S. Attorney's Office or the grand jury? But there was a subpoena sent out to Miami hotels that had to do with the whereabouts and also activity of not only Diddy, but 50 Cent's baby mama, Daphne Joy. Does that make, like, number one, I want you to analyze that, but then second of all, does that make it almost seem like Daphne Joy might be either potentially a target or maybe she's someone that was cooperating, that they're just validating what the fuck she's told them? Because that's...
Okay. Cool. So I can answer that. And then the other thing I want to say, too, because some people are saying they always tap the phones. I also want to be clear here that a Title III wire intercept to listen to phones through the regular court system is much different than a FISA wiretap, where you're basically doing on national security grounds. If you're doing a FISA phone tap, obviously the threshold is not as high as a regular Title III because you have national security implications, so you're able to get it much easier. So if you're a spy or trying to do anything against the United States that affects national security, they're going to be able to wiretap your phone way easier. Now, to answer your question as far as subpoenas go, so here's the thing. So every agency operates differently here, but when it comes to HSI has something called admin subpoena power. And what that means is you can go into a business or you can go ahead and serve a phone company or whatever it may be, and you can say, look, I need information on XYZ, and you serve them a subpoena on, maybe it's an immigration case, a customs case, a drug case, whatever it may be. They have different statutes that they can use to gain information via subpoena. Then you also have something called a grand jury subpoena. I'll give you an example of what the two mean, right? So let's say I have a target of investigation and they have a Google account, right?
Okay.
I want to figure out who is the subscriber to that Google account. I send an administrative subpoena to Google to tell me who the user is on that account. Google will furnish me the information because I gave them a legal document. However, after 30, 60, 90 days, they will notify the subscriber, look, the feds asked us about your account, and they can go ahead and disclose that to their customer, right? Banks do this, phone companies will do this, etc., right? Now, if I hand them a grand jury subpoena, now they can't say shit, right? So think of it as a grand jury subpoena as a more powerful way to get information, right? It's a little bit more of a pain in the ass to get one, but you typically want to use grand jury subpoenas, especially for banks, because if you give a bank an admin subpoena, some of them might not honor it, or they'll say, well, we're going to notify our account holder like within a month or whatever. Obviously, you don't want them to find out that they're the subject of investigation, so you want to give them a grand jury subpoena. Admin subpoenas are typically reserved for phone companies. Phone companies typically will, they won't tell the subscriber. They'll just give you the phone number, who it belongs to, address, that type of shit, basic stuff. So, with all that said, the fact that we know that there were subpoenas sent to these hotels leads me to believe that they probably served them with administrative subpoenas, right? Which is, they work, but you deal with the issues where it's not necessarily kept to the same level of secrecy as a grand jury subpoena. Because if you go ahead and you talk about the grand jury subpoena being served on you, well, now you can go to jail for that.
Really?
Does that make sense?
No. I hear you. I said I had no idea you could potentially, if you, bring that to light, you could be facing arrest. Wow. Okay.
Jury subpoena, yes. For admin, no. And only some agencies have admin subpoena power. I know DEA has it, HSI has it, FBI has it. I don't think ATF has it. They got to do everything through grand jury subpoena, and it depends on the agency and their administrative powers. But yeah, giving an admin subpoena will get you the information sometimes, but you have to deal with the risk. As a case agent, you got to make this decision. It's more of a pain in the ass to get a grand jury subpoena, but you'll be protected. However, you can do an admin subpoena and get it quickly, and maybe potentially deal with them disclosing it to the subscriber. That's why I would only use admin subpoenas for phone stuff. I would never use it for anything else, because a company like a hotel could potentially disclose that after a period of time.
Wow. Okay, so are you in the belief